Well, thank you, Julius. You couldn't join us today. We had a long day. We had a very dramatic day. You were writing exams. I take it you weren't studying taxation law.
No.
Okay. So can you share with us maybe what were you studying?
No, today I was writing business management. I'm studying BA with UNISA. This was my last subject on specializing in politics and citizenship.
So how did it go? Did you pass?
Well, you can't praise horses which have not returned. So they must first return and we know which one is number one.
Okay. All right, so exactly 2 years ago, you and I sat down at a hotel nearby here. You had also just finished writing your exams.
Yeah.
And you said to me that you were going to launch a political party. I thought you were joking. I thought, like, you know, people finish write exams, they normally go drinking. He wants to start a political party. So the EFF is now 2 years old from that moment. Is it what you envisaged it would be?
Well, the EFF is an organization that continues to make us very proud because we knew that South Africans are looking for an alternative. And the EFF, within a short space of time, contested elections. And now it's represented in almost all the legislatures. Busy now preparing for local government elections. From April up until now, I've not addressed less than 30 communities with less than 1,000 people participating in those meetings. So we're busy strengthening the organization, we're busy on the ground, listening to our people so that when we take over some of the municipalities, we know exactly what our people want.
Okay, so I must admit that when we did do that interview, I wondered whether you were doing this out of revenge and anger because of the way you were expelled. And you did put up one heck of a fight to get back into the ANC. And then when it was clear that you couldn't get back in, you then decided to launch the Economic Freedom Fight. You were very angry, weren't you?
Well, there's a difference between anger and disappointment. I was disappointed. It couldn't be anger because there is no anger that can be sustained for 2 years. This is what I think is a brainchild of the ordinary masses on the ground who said, we want an alternative to the ANC. And we were of a view that we must form a non-governmental organization which will agitate for economic freedom, and it should not be politically aligned. But the response on the ground was such that you are wasting our time, we need an alternative, and that alternative should represent the working class. Yeah,
so what you're doing is what you did rather is exactly what Zweli Mzimabavi is not doing. He dragged out his departure from COSATU, so he's basically on a mobilization drive. Whereas you said, okay, I'm out, what I'm doing is I'm launching a political party, and you did it. And it took on a life of its own.
He will do it. He's got no option.
So you're not worried that he's gonna, you're not worried that he's gonna compete for your constituency?
There's a difference between forming a political party and a union. And even if Vavi was to form a political party, he will never be a threat to the EFF because the mobilization at the level of a union is such that you are confined to shop floor politics. And capital by its own nature organizes people into one place. You already find them organized by your enemy called capital. Unlike politics, political formations, you have to go to villages and then do door to door and ask people to come to a meeting. After speaking to thousands of them through a door to door, all of them confirming they will come to a meeting. On the day of the meeting, they don't come. And if you've got a big ego, you'll then be demoralized and then pull out of it. But it needs experience, it needs a determination, it needs you to soldier on and continue to sell the message. Because what matters is not an individual, it's whether you've got the message. People want the message.
Okay. So you've been going for 2 years now. You've made a lot of noise on the political scene. You've provided a lot of color to the political scene. But in your view, what substantive has the EFF achieved in the time it's been alive?
The EFF has provided an alternative policy perspective to the country, including to the ANC. It is the only socialist party that speaks about socialism openly in parliament. It's the
But
only
socialism by what definition? Because that's a moving target, seemingly.
No, socialism by the definition of state ownership of strategic sectors of the economy. And that will, amongst others, include land, mines, the banks, and other monopoly industries. And we have put firmly those proposals before Parliament. We are actually the first organization to take the battle to capital and said to Parliament, you do not have legislature that stops profit shifting and open corruption committed by capital because you are scared of corruption. And now everybody begins to say, no, there should be a legislation about that. We spoke about the conditions of workers, not only in the mining sector, the workers who are working in the restaurants, the security guards, the domestic workers, farm workers, family, unashamedly spoke on their behalf in Parliament, to an extent that the ANC had to even reject the investigation of living and working condition of mine workers by Parliament because it was brought by the EFF. Things that they were not doing. Actually, they were engaged in elitist type of politics which ordinary masses on the ground could not relate with. And now masses can relate with those politics. That's why the Parliament channel is so popular now, because the masses feel represented and they begin to say, we are represented. I want to watch because the likelihood is that my issues may be discussed by Parliament.
So a lot of people thought initially that the EFF may be a kind of a carbon copy of the ANC, but for angry people and people who are disappointed. You know, even in the election last year, you found people who were really angry with the ANC and couldn't, in good conscience, vote ANC because of the kind of scandals and stories of corruption associated with the ANC now. So you came out of the ANC, the ANC's mutated baby. So that's why people kind of thought, okay, you know. So, but do you think that's sustainable?
Well, those who were angry are people like Cope. That's why they disagreed and then had to disappear. Because when the anger subsides, then your purpose disappears. Because you are formed for angry purpose. Mm-hmm. So we are formed on ideological basis. To an extent that we even wrote a founding manifesto, which Cope doesn't have, to articulate what we represent. So even if Malema tomorrow is happy and is now ready again to kill for Zuma, there will be people who remain loyal to the document called the Founding Manifesto.
So the ANC is 103 years old. It's the party of Nelson Mandela, of Oliver Tambo. You revered these leaders. There must be part of you that's still a bit heart-sore that you couldn't follow, you know, in the succession of that you know, legion of really heroic people that, you know, the party would not and will now never be handed over to you. Do you feel that sometimes when you see the flag, when you look back at visuals of those great speeches, the great men?
Well, we're following in their footsteps. On a different you know, organization called the EFF, and not only Nelson Mandela, because he was not the only one who fought for freedom. We're following in the footsteps of Sebukwe. We're following the footsteps of Steve Biko. We're following in the footsteps of all great giants that fought for freedom. The problem with the ANC is that you know, they indoctrinate people to an extent that you think it is only them in South Africa and everybody else doesn't exist. And you come to realize that once you are outside that, yes, we've been denied a rich history, you know, we've been denied a rich history of this country of so many great giants who fought for our freedom. And we shouldn't die for a name. We shouldn't be obsessed that no, we want to be in the ANC because it can only be achieved in the ANC. It can be achieved for as long as you've got, the collective which has got a political will to achieve that which a generation before us set as a mission.
Okay, but you fell out with this current leadership of the ANC. So let me give you a scenario. President Jacob Zuma decides in a few months, in a few years, I don't know when, but decides to retire to Nkandla, and the next ANC conference...
There's no one man who can make you go back to the ANC. No one.
No, but let me give you a
there's
scenario.
There's no Nelson Mandela. There's no O.R. Tambo. There's no Peter Mokaba. They all died with the ANC. All you have is a group of individuals.
But we had a dynamic young man here this morning, Paul Mashatile. He's a new generation ANC leader.
Paul belongs to that elite group that continues to milk our resources. And then he comes here, and then he comes here and he wants to behave brave. Let's hope he won't say you distorted him on what he said about Jacob Zuma, because the fact that he said, I hope he said that he doesn't agree with Ntleko's report. I was not here. I was going to tell him, repeat it, so that when the newspapers quote you on that, you must not say they didn't hear you properly. All of you, tomorrow you will still be here in South Africa. Paul is going to correct what he said before you here. So there's nothing brave about him. He's part of a mess. Paul presided over a government that put a lot of money in the so-called Alexandra renewal. Till today, Alexander looks like a squatter camp. Where did the money go? Where was Paul? Paul was at the center of that money. Before he tells us about Ntleko money, he must tell us about the Alexander renewal.
So do you have any friends in the ANC? Are there any people?
Of God.
You were quite friendly with Minister Razmataz for a while.
Balula is my friend. I speak to him. I don't agree with him, but I speak to him and he knows I don't agree with him.
Okay, so...
And there are a lot of elders in the ANC that I speak to. I speak to Winnie Mandela. I speak to Castle Matali, because our relationship in politics went beyond political relationship and became that of a family friends.
So even if those friends had to influence an ANC conference to take a resolution to build bridges with the EFF, you wouldn't accept that?
Winnie tried. And if I can say no to Winnie, who else can come and talk to me? There is no one amongst those Mickey Mouses that holds the necessary courage to can convince me. No one. I told Winnie that they don't like you. We know you are suffering and you are calling us to come back so that we can join the queue of suffering people. We are not coming back to that organization.
Okay, but the ANC is not the only party that has problems. Your party has had some problems also. There's some
Which ones? Which problems?
Well, you've expelled some people who are quite high-ranking in your party.
Well, EFF is a very dynamic organization because it's not constituted by celebrities. And anyone who defines
But then why
himself,
did you recruit them to serve in your caucus?
No one was recruited. They came and joined. No one, I didn't go, I don't even know where they stay. So I wouldn't have recruited them. So they came and then they wanted to behave like celebrities within a collective, and the collective rejected them.
So you didn't go to Gayton's house for all these famous sushi parties?
I mean, bring serious name. We're talking serious issues here.
Okay, so who are you willing to build bridges with? Musi Maimane is the new leader of the DA. Helen Zille said she didn't want to cooperate with you in any kind of coalition government. But next year, we are heading for a very contested election. The opportunity may arise to change power in some of the metros, to some of the municipalities, to a coalition government. Would you be willing to cooperate with the Democratic Alliance?
Well, cooperation might mean something different. I support anyone that advances the national interest. If Musi stand up in parliament and says Zuma must pay back the money, or that Zuma must release the Nkandla report, I will stand up and support him. In the same way, if the ANC still has got some people who have got some sense of responsibility, who may take chances to stand up and say something sensible, I will support them. So in the next year elections, we're not getting into cooperation, we're getting into contractual relationship. So whoever wants the votes of the EFF will have to come and bring us a yearly contract which stipulates what people are going to benefit that year by when. And that if those are not met, the relationship is automatically off.
No, but a coalition agreement in municipalities of the metro, say there's an opportunity to cooperate, City of Johannesburg, what will a yearly agreement do, because it's a 5-year term?
You need to tell us that within a year, I will go and do 1, 2, 3 in Alexander, I will go and do 1, 2, 3 in Deep Slot, because budgets are allocated yearly. They are not allocated 5 years. We shouldn't wait for 5 years. It must be a yearly thing. So you say, this is what I can do in Deep Slot. If you don't do it, then we're off. And if none of the parties there is committed to deliver such things, then we'll rather not engage in any form of a relationship. It must be based on program, because our people are tired of being fed theory which lacks practice. So they've listened to theory for 21 years. They all know how slogans sound like. All they want now is action.
While we're talking about other political parties, I have to ask you this. I've noticed, and my colleagues have noticed, that while you're sitting in parliament, often that Nkosi Mangosuthu Buthelezi pulls you, he's been pulling your jacket, and he tries to make you sit down. What's going on?
He has never done that to me.
Oh, well, other people in the EFF,
Yeah,
but he's always trying to whisper
he won't do that to me.
But what does he want you to do?
No, I hate people who use their age to impose themselves on us. I don't like that. No one, no elder, no young person will ever pull me. You ought to win me through superior logic and not through age. So he stands up there all the time to call the opposition to order. And I told the EFF that one day I'm going to take him on that. He stands up to call the EFF to order, and he does that to the DA, but he never does that to the ANC. And the ANC people, half the time they are misbehaving in that parliament. As an elder, if he wants to be treated as an elder and not a politician, he must stop taking side. So he must prevail over all of us. Otherwise, if he becomes partisan, then he wants to become a role player in a political environment, and we shall engage as equal and as professionals. So he has never done that. I mean, I don't know if he has pulled Floyd. Next to me is Floyd or anyone, I don't know.
Okay.
But so, I see more often rising to call people to order. The other time he was calling the chief whip of the DA to order and saying, hey, you don't say what to me, you are missing apartheid, and trying to sound radical like that, just to impress the ANC.
So talking about the ANC, they have people who are senior in government who you used to treat as your elders. You did treat them as your heroes. In the case of President Jacob Zuma, you were very passionate in your defense for him. You know, I've over-explained the issue of killing for Zuma to you and to everybody else, that I've never literally meant that I will kill for Zuma.
All I said was a commitment to the cause. I supported Zuma, and I still don't regret supporting him to be president of the ANC against President Mbeki. Not because President Mbeki was a bad president. President Mbeki was going to compromise the constitution of the Republic of South Africa because he wanted to go for a third term as a president of the ANC. And he had 2/3 majority in parliament, and the possibility was such that they were going to amend the constitution of the Republic to give him a third term. So my loyalty has always been with the constitution of the Republic of South Africa more than political parties and individuals. And we said we needed to stop this smart guy. Smart as he is, we cannot choose his smartness over the constitution. And then we looked around, to say, who can challenge President Mbeki, who's almost ready to compromise the constitution? They all went under the tables. And then this one, then this one said he can challenge President Mbeki. And for opportunistic reasons, because one, the man knew that he was going to jail. So he has got nothing to lose. He's got nothing to lose. But if he becomes the president, he's got more to gain. So he weighed his options. That even if I lose, I will come back to the same position I was because I was fired as a deputy president. Then he said, I'm here to challenge President Mbeki. In the absence of the best, he became the best. And that's how he became the president. So the killing for Zuma was an emphatic statement in defense of our constitution to say, we'll make anyone the president for as long as it is in the defense of the constitution. That statement is used on a daily basis by all of you when you want to emphasize a point. When a person is dressed smart, you say, today you are dressed to kill. It doesn't mean that person is well armed with bullets. When Bafana, if I'm guilty of such a statement, then the SABC and E-News and everybody else is guilty, because when Bafana goes to play against Ghana, they say, Bafana today is going for a kill. So it doesn't mean Bafana today is well armed with AK-47. It means Bafana is well determined to come back victorious. That's what I said.
So how did you fall out then? What happened? Share with us.
No, we fell out because the Polokwane conference took very clear positions. Amongst others was to reject the 1996 class project, which was turning the ANC into a complete right political organization. And we who were on the left believed that the emergence of Jacob Zuma with Gwede as Secretary General will reposition the ANC to be an organization of the left. Zuma immediately after Polokwane says, nothing is going to change. And I ask myself, but this man was in the same conference where we were saying change. He thought change we mean him. We did not mean him. We meant policy. So when he says nothing is going to change, that's where I knew the problem has started. Not only that, the first trip he takes is London. And then he's given some small jacket and reassure capital and the Queen that no, nothing is going to change. So we knew that what we thought we had achieved in Polokwane actually is a myth. It's not there. Again, Polokwane took a decision that willing buyer, willing seller is not a viable alternative. It has not worked, and therefore the new leadership must go and find an alternative when it comes to the land question. The Youth League then said to the ANC, in line with Polokwane, let's expropriate the land without a compensation. Let us nationalize. And then they said, they thought we're a group of people who don't know how to think. The first thing they said to us was, go and write what you are saying down and bring it here. Because they thought they were going to defeat us through writing. we wrote the most substantive document which till today no one has authored an alternative to it, presented it to the ANC, and then from there they started, character assassination of individuals and subjected us to disciplinary processes so that they can downplay the real proposals on radical transformation of the economy. And Zuma thought we play. The Youth League took that decision. The ANC, NGC took that decision. The mistake we did was to mix the two. We said, this is the program of action, and we need the leadership that is committed to implement this program of action, and Zuma is not such a leader who can carry forward this struggle. And we told him that. We said, we don't think you are a better person to carry this agenda forward. And secondly, by the way, we agreed that you must serve one term. So we mixed the two, because on the other ones, he didn't have capacity to argue with us. Then he came to the leadership question and realized these people are going to remove me. And the best option is to remove them before they remove me. That's how I fell out of favor with him. I was not saying anything bad to him. I was saying to him, we agreed on one term. And then secondly, I don't think you are capable of driving an agenda for radical economic transformation. So there is nothing personal between me and Msholozi. We've never been close like that with Zuma. Media can exaggerate. I don't know Nkandla. I've never been to Nkandla, in Zuma's house. But the impression is created that we are so close to an extent that I even have a plate at Nkandla. I never had a plate at Nkandla. And I've been to Zuma's house twice or three times. This one here at the one that... Forest Town, the one that woman of Mpumalanga bought for him here after he was fired at the Union Building. I've been there 3 times. The first time, I can't remember, but the last time I went to Nkandla was when there was...
You went to Nkandla,
to Forest Town. Was when Zuma said, there was a discussion that Zuma is not going to appoint Kgalema as a deputy president. Zuma had concluded that Kgalema must not be a deputy president of the country. And I went to negotiate with him that you are creating the second Polokwane, just after Polokwane, because Kgalema is going to be seen as a victim of the sitting president. And there's going to be supporters of a deputy president against the president, which is what happened between you and Mbeki. Gwede, I started with Gwede. Gwede said, hey, I told him he's not agreeing. Go and talk to him. Gwede sent me there, I went. The second time is when I went to negotiate for the former Youth League members to be in the cabinet. Malusi, Mbalula, Nati.
So they're there because of you?
No, we went to present a list. I wouldn't say they are there because of us, but I went to present a list sent by the Youth League to come and talk to the president to include in the cabinet former Youth League leaders, including Thandi. And Zuma said he wants Mbalula to remain in organizing, because there is a view that Mbalula must be the Secretary General of the ANC. When I came with the story that Mbalula must be Secretary General of the ANC, I was told by Zuma that Mbalula must be the Secretary General of the ANC. And I said, President, the best thing is that let's put Mbalula a minister, and then at an appropriate moment, we'll then withdraw him so that he can go and serve full-time in the ANC, like the former Minister of Housing, who was later the Deputy Secretary of the ANC.
Wait. What are you telling us here? That President Zuma wanted Gwede Mantashe out?
Yes. The President said to me, there is a view that Mbalula must be Secretary General, who must prepare him through the organizing. And I said to him, you are committing, amongst others, some of us hated Mbeki, was the fact that Peter Mokaba made Mbeki a president of the ANC, of course with the collective of the Youth League. When Mbeki became the president of the ANC, Mbeki said to Peter Mokaba, "You are not part of my plans." Remember, Peter was a deputy minister under Mandela's term. And then Thabo became president after Peter and the Youth League actually defied Mandela and went to fetch Mbeki from the dirty flats. After he was demoralized of not becoming a deputy president, they went to fetch him and made him the national chair of the ANC against Mandela's wish, which Mandela's wish was Kada Asmal should be the national chair. The Youth League said, behind closed doors, what happened to African leadership? Remember, in the ANC, there was an unwritten rule that in the top 6 of the ANC, there will never be either a colored or an Indian or a white person, because they were subscribing to the so-called African leadership. That's how Kada Asmal did not become the chairperson of the ANC. Thabo came back from the political dustbin, first by Peter Mokaba, made him the national chairperson of the ANC. When Thabo became president, then said to Peter, "You are not part of my plans." I said to President Zuma, "You are doing the same thing with Mbalula. You are going to be viewed the same way we viewed Thabo when he dumped Peter. Because Mbalula led a campaign of you becoming the president, and now you say Mbalula must go and sit in that shack called the Little House. It's not possible."
Okay, so let's deal with your own career path now. You the leader of the economic...
I've been involved in serious stuff, man.
So your fighters, they love you. They love you as their leader. But the one thing that can change that is the charges against you.
Yeah.
You made some concessions. There's the tax case and then there's the corruption case.
Yeah.
So on the tax case, you made some concessions. You're paying back the money on
I
the tax.
I paid them.
Oh, so that's that, right.
I
So
don't owe them.
on the corruption case, what is that about? Are there any concessions you have to make there?
You know, when we went to the SARS case, somebody said to me on Twitter, "No, you keep on saying paying back the money, but you owing SARS and all that." I said, "I've got an appointment with SARS on the 1st of June. Was the first? I've got an appointment with SARS on the 1st of June. I will meet them in court, come and hear." Because I knew that there is no lawyer who can persuade a judge using legal jargons, whereas pursuing a political agenda. You know, Nick Maretz is one of the best lawyers in Pretoria. Nick Maretz could not budge an inch in that court, despite his experience on dealing with tax matters. Why? Because Nick Maretz was dealing with a political matter, and he's a lawyer. He doesn't know political matters. My response to criminal charges is, I've got an appointment with them in August. Let them come and see me in August in the criminal court.
So you have a good
These
defense.
people postponed this case for the 4th time now. The last time it was postponed with almost a year. They do that because they do not have a case. These people hate me so much. Hate me so much that if they had a case against me, they would have had that trial within days and locked me up. So the fact that they are delaying to have this case heard by a neutral court of law, it is a clear evidence that they do not have a case against me.
Okay, so
And
other than...
they must know, and South Africans themselves should know, that justice delayed is justice denied.
Okay, so other than this argument of...
I'm not scared of them. I never stole anything from them. Let them come. I want them tomorrow. I wanted them yesterday. Let them come anytime and put me in the box with the best of the best, including Gernel. They will never get me.
Okay, so but other than this argument of a political hit on you on the corruption case, you have a good defense. You have an explanation for why the money was in the Ratanang Trust.
Ratanang Trust was a shareholder of a company called Gilda Investment, which on point was a subsidiary of. And that Gilda had many companies. many subsidiaries. So amongst those included On Point. And therefore, what was in the Ratanang account was the money from Gilda company which was due to a shareholder.
And there was no corruption in that.
You know, you must give yourself time and read their indictment. Not a single state witness in those affidavit mentions the name Julius Malema. Not one. I've never dealt with them. I was never in government. I've never worked for government. Yet they say I took tenders and gave to my friends. The people who ran that government, including the department which gave On Point a tender, they are still in the ANC. They are still in parliament. So none of them has been charged. No one from government has been charged for being in a corrupt relationship with the EFF leader. I gave myself that tender. I corrupted myself. I didn't corrupt anyone. So they must go and tell a judge there the practicality of the whole thing. It's very difficult.